You're here because you want to get smart fast on the stuff that matters. You want the real insights, none of that endless scrolling, right?
Yeah,
Consider this your shortcut.
definitely. And today, we're tackling a really big one. The UK government is seriously thinking about a plan that honestly sounds straight out of science fiction.
Dimming the sunlight to cool the earth. Yeah.
Exactly that.
We've been looking at this article, UK to dim sunlight in bold plan to cool Earth, but scientists are not amused. Quite the headline.
It really grabs you, doesn't it?
It does. So our job today is to really unpack this. What exactly is this plan? What methods are they actually considering? And, crucially, why the pushback? Why aren't scientists, well, amused?
Mhm.
We want to give you the clear, need-to-know info on something that's, let's face it, pretty fascinating, but also potentially quite controversial.
Right. So let's dive in.
Okay, so what's the absolute core of this UK government idea?
Well, the article lays it out pretty clearly. The government over there is actively considering approving actual experiments designed to, reduce the sunlight reaching us.
To combat global warming.
Precisely. And this isn't just talk. There's serious money behind it, something like 50 million pounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's this agency, the Advanced Research and Invention Agency area, they call it, that's really backing this push into what's called solar geoengineering.
Got it.
And the idea, initially at least, is to run small-scale experiments. Test the waters first.
Dimming sunlight. It still feels a bit unreal to say. What are the actual techniques? How would they even attempt that?
Good question. The article highlights two main methods they're looking at.
Okay.
One involves releasing really tiny particles way up high into the stratosphere.
The stratosphere, right, high up.
Exactly. These particles would, in theory, act like a sort of reflective shield, bouncing some sunlight back into space before it heats the planet.
Like tiny mirrors almost.
Sort of, yeah. That's one way to think about it. The other main idea is called marine cloud brightening.
Marine cloud brightening.
This one involves using special ships to spray very fine sea salt particles into clouds that are low over the ocean.
Sea salt. Into clouds.
Yeah, the idea is that these extra particles help make the cloud droplets smaller and more numerous, which makes the clouds themselves whiter, more reflective.
Ah, I see. So brighter clouds reflect more sun away.
You got it. Same principle, different method, bounce more sunlight back out.
Okay, I can picture those now. High altitude particles, super white ocean clouds. I mean, superficially, that sounds like it could be helpful, right? Lower temperatures maybe slow down the climate crisis a bit.
Well, that's definitely the hope. That's the potential benefit the article touches on.
Right.
The idea of getting a relatively quick drop in surface temperatures is certainly attractive, especially with all the extreme weather we're seeing.
Yeah, you can see the appeal.
The thinking is this could give us a crucial window, maybe by some time.
To actually make the big cuts in carbon emissions we need.
Exactly. Time to make those deep fundamental changes. Some see it purely as a way to, buy time.
But that headline again, scientists are not amused. That signals some major problems. What are the big worries? The red flags?
Yeah, that reaction really points to some very serious concerns about geoengineering in general.
Like what specifically?
Well, a huge one is the fear of unintended consequences. I mean, we're talking about deliberately messing with complex global systems, the atmosphere, the
We
climate.
poke it here and something unexpected happens over there.
Precisely. You try to cool the planet, but maybe you accidentally change rainfall patterns drastically, or affect agriculture somewhere else, or mess with ocean currents. We just don't fully know the potential knock-on effects.
Right. It's incredibly complex, like trying to fix one tiny part of a massive engine without knowing how it connects to everything else.
That's a good analogy. And there's another major concern the article hints at.
That it's a distraction.
Exactly. A big fear among scientists is that if we start focusing on these tech fixes, it might take the pressure off.
Off doing the hard work of cutting emissions.
Yes, it could reduce the urgency, the political will, to actually tackle the root cause, burning fossil fuels. The worry is that the promise of a geoengineering solution, however risky or uncertain, could lead to complacency.
People might think, oh, they'll fix it with technology. We don't need to change as much.
That's the fear. And the bluntness of that headline, "Not amused," really shows how deep that concern runs in parts of the scientific community.
Okay, so the scientific community has serious reservations. But what about AREA, the agency pushing this? The article mentions a Professor Mark Symes. What's his counter-argument? How do they view these risks?
Right. Professor Symes, who's the program director at AREA, he seems to be directly addressing those worries.
Oh, so?
He emphasizes that area is putting in place, quote, strong requirements, things like limiting how long any experiments can run and ensuring they are reversible if things go wrong.
So built-in safety checks, theoretically.
That seems to be the message, trying to show they're aware of the risks and planning for them. He also makes a point of saying area won't fund anything that releases toxic substances.
That's probably a key point for public reassurance.
Absolutely. And he frames the whole thing with a real sense of urgency. He talks about the planet getting dangerously close to critical climate tipping points.
Tipping points like irreversible changes.
Yes, points of no return, essentially. His argument seems to be that things are getting so urgent, the risk of not exploring these options might be greater than the risk of carefully experimenting.
So the potential catastrophe outweighs the experimental risk, in his view.
That seems to be the rationale. He notes there's growing interest in finding ways that could rapidly cool the planet, specifically to avoid hitting those tipping points in the coming decades.
It's a stark framing of the choices.
It really is.
And this funding from AREA, it's not just for these outdoor tests, right? What else is included?
No, it's broader than just, spraying stuff outside. The article mentions several other key areas. They're funding new, more advanced climate modeling studies, trying to get better predictions of what geoengineering might actually do.
Better computer simulations. Makes sense.
Yep. Also, indoor lab tests doing experiments in controlled settings first. Plus, importantly, funding for better climate monitoring to track any effects if experiments do happen.
And didn't it mention public opinion?
It did, yes.
Yeah.
Crucially, they plan to fund work on gauging public attitudes towards geoengineering.
Which seems pretty vital, given how controversial this is.
Absolutely. It acknowledges this isn't just a scientific question. It's got huge societal and ethical dimensions, too.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together. We've got the UK government, via this AREA agency, seriously exploring solar geoengineering.
Right, looking at methods like stratospheric particle injection and marine cloud brightening.
The potential upside they see is maybe cooling the planet temporarily, buying us time for deeper emission cuts.
But on the other hand, huge concerns from many scientists about side effects, unforeseen consequences.
And the risk of distracting from the real solution,
Yeah.
getting off fossil fuels.
Exactly. And AREA's response is to emphasize safety requirements, reversibility, and the sheer urgency of the climate crisis potentially pushing us towards tipping points.
And it's not just the outdoor stuff. They're also investing in modeling, lab work, monitoring, and even understanding what the public thinks about it all.
Yeah, it really throws the whole climate change challenge into sharp relief, doesn't it? The difficult, maybe even uncomfortable choices we're facing.
It really does. That tension between needing solutions, maybe needing them fast, and the potentially massive risks of intervening in the Earth's systems on such a scale.
It's a profound dilemma.
So thinking about all this, the potential tipping points, the deep scientific reservations, the ethical questions, really makes you wonder, what is the most responsible path forward here?
Yeah, there are clearly no easy answers.
Yeah.
It's definitely something complex, worth mulling over, maybe doing some more digging into on your own.